The governor is calling the bill the GREED Act of 2025. During the past legislative session, in anticipation of federal cuts, state lawmakers built in trigger provisions into the state budget. They serve as a mechanism to prompt action. Now, under the plan, the governor's budget office is required to come up with recommendations. At the time, State House presiding officers were considering holding a special session in the fall to act on them. A state law gives the governor the authority to call a special session. Legislators can also petition the governor to do so. But today, the governor declined to answer questions about that possibility.
Happy 4th, everybody!
Governor Wes Moore celebrated the 4th of July participating in parades like this one in Howard County. He embraced the intent of the Declaration of Independence as envisioned by the Founding Fathers.
The power does not belong to the people in power, but the power belongs to the people.
He also coined a new name for the federal budget bill, the GREED Act of 2025.
I think the fact that the president's going to use the 4th of July to sign the GREED Act of 2025 it's depressing.
Maryland Democrat lawmakers prepare for passage of the federal budget by writing in trigger provisions in the state budget. For example, if $1 billion in federal aid to the state is cut, the governor's budget office would submit a plan to lawmakers on how to adjust state spending. There's a trigger freezing education funding for 1 year if the state loses $900 million or more by December. Another trigger concerns Medicaid. If the feds shift 50% of the costs to states, that would mean the state would have to come up with $1 billion to protect those enrolled. The Medicaid trigger is linked to the overall $1 billion cut in federal aid trigger.
The people of Maryland know that we are going to look after them. The people of Maryland know that we're going to look after working families.
Maryland congressional Democrats voted against the federal budget, arguing it provides for the rich by taking away from those who need assistance, including health care for seniors, student loan borrowers, those relying on food assistance, and people with disabilities.
Well, it's disheartening. It's going to hurt a lot of people. It's going to devastate Medicaid and Medicare, and it's going to hurt people who need food assistance.
State House presiding officers had been discussing the possibility of holding a special session in September or October to act on the recommendations prompted by the triggers. We learned today that the earlier than anticipated passage of the federal budget bill, nor the provisions taking effect at different times, has changed that timetable. Reporting from the newsroom, David Collins, WBAL TV 11 News.